Perfect. All right, we're recording now. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here for Canvas Studio Plus, taking our Canvas knowledge to a little bit of a different level. The last 2 weeks, we looked at some introduction stuff as far as linking courses and course settings and things like that. So we want to take it a little bit further step here. We use Studio within the title because that's a big tool in Canvas that can be really helpful for our instructors and really anyone who's using the platform. And then also some other settings that I think could be helpful for cooperative grouping and things like that. So we can take a look at those today. As I said, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. We can go from there, or you can type them in the chat and we can answer them that way too. All right, I'm going to start by sharing my screen, and you should see my Canvas dashboard here. We looked at some of the settings on this in our last session as far as kind of changing the way this dashboard looks and changing the colors and modifying some of the to-do panels and things like that. So if you missed any of that, that's perfectly fine. Just take a look at our YouTube channel and you can go there and look at that first kind of getting started video where we discuss some of those attributes of the dashboard. But that's not why we're here today. We are here today to look at Studio and some other tools that can kind of take our Canvas knowledge a little bit further. But we're going to start inside of Studio. Just like anything that we do inside of Canvas, it's a very widely used tool. Even though Studio is an add-on, meaning if you're a university or you're a business and you get Canvas, you don't necessarily get Studio. So you have to kind of go up a level in the subscription to get to the Studio level. So, we kind of talked to some people and they're like, oh yeah, I know Canvas. Oh, well, I never used this. Well, we just didn't have that level inside of your subscription plan. All right, so here we do have Studio, and this is something that we've had Canvas for 3 or 4 years now, and really only Studio for 1 or 2. So, right, we were using other tools outside of Studio to kind of prevent or present that video content for our students, whether that was an external tool like Screencast-O-Matic was kind of popular, or a lot of people were just making videos inside of Zoom and just making those recordings available. And all those things can be done, right? Studio, a good way to think about it, is a video hosting platform and viewing platform, right? It is the YouTube of Studio. Right. So when we talk about YouTube and you go to YouTube, you can type in a video, you can search for it, people can view it, you can like it, you can comment it, you can share it. All of those things can be done inside of your Canvas Studio here. Right. It is a tool that is within the learning management space, though. Right. So it's not something that like, oh, hey, I made a video, let me share with my colleague, at another university. Well, we would have to use a different tool for that, right? The Studio tool here is for your courses and for your students inside of the class. So like I said, just like anything inside of Canvas, very widely adopted. There are a whole bunch of videos online. There's a whole bunch of resources out there that kind of walk you through getting started. We're looking at the different settings, or once a video's in, what can you do with it? All of those things. So we'll try to cover some of that today here in the about next 40 minutes or 35 minutes that I'm talking to you. But obviously, I'm not going to be able to go into everything, right? So just like anything we talk about, if there's anything that you want a little bit more information on, or you want to sit and talk a little bit more closely on, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to meet with you one-on-one or in a small group with your other colleagues in whatever course you're teaching or whatever you might need, right? That's what I'm here for. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, I'll looking here on the dashboard. I'm going to start here at our top level of Studio. And you'll see I kind of refer to these levels, right? Because we have our top level, which is kind of in this blue bar here. It exists right in the front of Canvas. And then you have the course level of Studio. So there's kind of a Studio shell inside of each course, right? So kind of think about it as a sandwich, right? This top layer is our first slice of bread, this Studio. And this is where everything is, right? Every video that I make, any video that's ever been in here is inside of this top layer of Studio. Okay, and this is where I'm going to start. I'll go a little bit further and look at kind of a little bit closer as what it looks like on a class level, because we do get a different kind of set of settings when we're looking at the video in there, but I'm going to start here at the course level. So again, I'm here on the left-hand side, and let's start with very basic. How do we get this content in here, right? Studio's great. It hosts the media, but how do we get it here, right? And there's a couple ways. You can absolutely start from scratch, right? You can say, I'm ready to make a video right now. And you literally just hit the record button, right? What opens inside of this platform is Screencast-O-Matic Plus, right? Which is a whole separate tool, but that tool works with Studio, right? So here you're kind of just opening this other tool that is going to record your screen, use your webcam to record you, allows you to do some other things inside of there, right? So that's just starting from scratch. You're recording a video. You also have the option to just add a video, right? You have a video that is already created. Maybe it's a Zoom lecture that has already occurred. Maybe it's a video that you have from another source, whether that's a publisher or a conference or something like that, that you want to make available to your students, right? So if you have that video, whether it's in an MP4 format, a .movie format, whatever that might be, QuickTime format, it takes a bunch, but we can always work with those formats. Don't worry about that. We can add any of those videos here, right? So I have a video, I want to give it to the students, right? You can also take a video that already exists on YouTube and add it inside of Studio. Okay. Now, the good thing about adding the YouTube video inside of Studio is it gives you, first of all, a link directly to that YouTube video. So students don't have to click on a link to go to YouTube, right? It's putting the YouTube video right on the page or wherever you're putting that Studio video for the students. The other good thing is it gives you the other features of Studio. Like we talked about before, the things that kind of go along with a video platform. You can now comment on the video, right? So instead of students watching a video that's on YouTube that might already have thousands of comments, their comments aren't really relevant to what you're trying to teach them in the class or what's going on. You're getting your own comments inside of this copy of the video inside of Studio, right? And another great feature here, and we're going to look at this when we get to the course level, is you get the analytics that go along with it, right? Studio lets you know who has watched the video inside of the course and for how long, right? So then that way, when you're talking about something, you're like, oh, we went over this in the video. How comes I'm getting all these blank looks? Or how comes you guys seem like this is the first time you're hearing that, right? We've all had those occurrences inside of instruction. So this is kind of a checks and balance kind of thing. All right, well, let me go in the video. Let me go into what they call insights inside of the video. And I can see, okay, well, here's Susan. Susan watched the entire video. Here's Johnny. Johnny only watched the first 2 minutes of the video. So no wonder he has no idea what I'm talking about, because what I covered was in the last 2 minutes of the video, right? So we get kind of some other features inside of there. So that's the benefit of kind of taking not like the video can't be right from YouTube, that's perfectly fine. But when you take the video from YouTube and put it inside of Studio here, you get those kind of plus features that go along with it as far as commenting, changing the title, analytics, things like that. We'll take a look at some of those things. So again, back to very basic. How do we get a video in Studio? You can start from scratch and record, make a video right now. When you hit record, you're going to get the option to either screen capture or webcam capture. Know that when you choose screen capture, meaning what I'm doing right now, right? You're watching my screen. So if you have a PowerPoint, you're screen capturing that PowerPoint so students can see the slides as you're talking. When you do the screen capture, you can then just turn on your webcam inside of there, right? But when you start with the webcam, that's all you get. It only allows you to access your webcam the same way you are right now in Zoom. So that's fine if I'm just talking to you. But if I want to show you something, if I'm demonstrating something, if I'm navigating somewhere on a platform, if I'm going to a website, if I want to show the students that, I want to make sure I'm choosing my screen capture, right? Because then they can see the screen that I'm using and what I'm doing as the instructor. So that's our way to just kind of start from scratch. And then, of course, we talked about add. you already have a video, it's already made, it's on the cloud, it's from a different setting, whatever that might be, you're just uploading it. The same way you would upload an attachment to an email, or the same way you would upload a file inside of OneDrive or inside of a cloud device that you're using. And then of course we have the ad video, we pull it there from YouTube. Right. So kind of very basic. How do we get the media inside of Studio? And there's a couple different ways to do that and a couple different ways to think about it. The real thing is, don't make more work for yourself, right? If the video is already made, don't remake the video and say, oh, well, this isn't good, I got to record it. Oh, I messed up there, let me do it again. And like all of a sudden now you've spent 45 minutes, an hour on redoing something that was probably just fine. Maybe you just needed to add a comment, or you just needed to give the students something else to think about, right? And we'll show you how to do all those things inside of this platform, right? So you're not just giving the video to the students. Maybe there is a couple questions that you're asking before, and you can put those questions before the video. So the students, as they click on it, they click on the video page, they see those questions you have typed out the same way you type out anything in Canvas. Then they see the video itself, and then maybe there's a couple wrap-up questions at the end, right? So no longer are we presenting just this media, we're presenting kind of those thoughts that go along with a good lesson. You're triggering their prior knowledge by giving them questions to think about and things to look at. And then again, you're wrapping it up at the end and performing some kind of assessment, whether that's just a vocal assessment or them thinking out loud as to whether they retain the information. Right? We're not just giving them a video to watch because there's a video out there, right? How can we make it meaningful? So we really want to look for those things inside of this platform, right? So let me go back here from our record and add, and let's look at a specific video. Here you can see my N302 Fall 21 intro. I'm going to click on these three dots that exist inside of Canvas pretty much everywhere, right? When you click on these three dots, pretty self-explanatory. We have create a quiz, which I think is pretty upfront. Do you want to put a quiz on top of the video? And when you think quiz, I mean quiz. You say, I want to ask a multiple choice question at 2:12. Boom. At 2:12, you put a multiple choice question. I want to ask an open-ended question at 3:06. Boom. At 3:06, you put an open-ended question. Okay, we're going to look at that a little bit further here in a second. Okay, let's say we want to annotate the video, meaning you want to draw over it. You want to put something over top of it. You want to make some changes to it. Here you have that option. Excuse me. That is the one thing that I would say Studio is kind of a little bit further behind on, and it's really not their fault. That's not what the platform is made for. There's not really a whole lot of editing capability, right? The only thing you can do to really this video and annotate is chop off the front end or chop off the back end, right? So if there's like, oh man, I really shouldn't have talked about that, or, I didn't really like the way I explained that, I want to take out, these 3 minutes in the middle. Studio won't let you do that. Okay, I can do that for you on a different piece of software that I have, but here inside of Studio, they don't necessarily let you do that. So that is the one kind of drawback when it comes to this. The editing capabilities that you would think of a video aren't necessarily all here, because like I said, no fault of their own, that's not the way it was designed to use. This is designed to host the media, right? You have the video, it's already made, you're satisfied with it. So what tools can we have here? It isn't exactly made to be that editing platform. Okay. All right, let's keep on making our way down. We have share media, I think, which makes kind of perfect sense. We can hit share and see that we can not only get a public link, but you can share with specific people. That specific people would be good if you're team teaching a course, right? And maybe you have multiple lectures across multiple weeks. And you say, well, I made my video, here it is, let me share it with you. And now that person has that video. Or for me, as the coordinator in 302, I make the intro video, but I share that intro video with everyone who teaches 302, because there's no reason for everyone to have to make an intro video, and they're not the ones who design the class. So here, I can talk about the assignments, I can go over the page, I can give everything, I can do all of that, I can make the video and then give it to them, right? So I have the opportunity to share it with them as well. I have the ability to move it to, which just allows me to kind of put it in a different collection, right? You think about baskets. Maybe you have baskets by class, or maybe you have intro videos or baskets by different topics or different books, whatever that might be. Think about it as your folders on computers, right? How do you like to stay organized? So there is no, this is the way you need to do it. This is the best way. Again, just like a lot of things that we have here and a lot of tools that we use, it's what works best for you. You can see I have no collections. I don't need to use that tool. All of my stuff is here on the homepage. That's just fine for me. Other people might look at this page and say, wow, this is going to drive me nuts. I need to consolidate this a little bit, right? So it lets you do that and kind of put those into what they call collections there. So we can kind of put them in different baskets. Your thumbnail is whatever picture they see, right? So we talked about that in our courses as far as kind of putting text on the front or different colors. Same thing here for your videos. So what are they going to see on the front end? Is it a certain type of, a certain place in the video, a certain thing you're explaining? You even have the option to just put a different picture. Maybe you're uploading an image or you just want text there. So it doesn't necessarily have to be part of the video. And then again, we can always just delete the media, which is self-explanatory. Let's just delete it. Okay. I want to jump into probably the most useful one on this page here, which is create quiz. Okay. So now here again, the only thing I was doing is I was on my front page of Studio, and inside of my own video, I click on the three dots and I click create quiz. Now, before I go to this create quiz, I want to show you that if you are inside of the course level of Studio, and I click on Studio here, you'll notice that you don't get the create quiz at the course level, right? So we started off this conversation where there's kind of different levels of Studio. Are you at the top level or are you kind of at the course level? And you'll see that at the course level, we have very minimal options when it comes to changing or doing anything to the video, right? Because it's already in the course. So what we want to do is, if we're doing some of the editing, some of the annotating, some of the quizzing, some of those things, we have to come back to this top layer here where we are able to click on the three dots and get much more settings. And I think that's probably, you'll be like, oh, I want to create a quiz, and go to the course level and you're like, oh, well, it's not there. Well, remember, it exists in two places, right? So go to that top level of Studio, and you'll see that when we click on our three dots, we get kind of this bigger menu to do things with. Let me go to my create quiz here, and we'll do it intro quiz 1. Now, you'll notice, and this is a pretty good feature depending on how you use it, is that you can make multiple quizzes on the same video. Now let's think about that. Why would that be useful? Now, the same way we talked about kind of triggering students' prior knowledge, the way we want to summarize our learning in the end, we could take a same video and have a pre-quiz and have a post-quiz, right? But that video exists twice. It's the same video, but inside of that video, you're asked two separate sets of questions, right? And the only thing you would need to do as the instructor is actually take that video and provide it in two separate instances inside of your course, so you could have the pre-quiz and the post-quiz. Excuse me. Another way you could use it is if you took that video and say it was something before students had learned something, right? So you're kind of testing their prior knowledge. Let's see how we did. And then let's see how we did after we learned the material or after we had a lesson on it, right? So you kind of get that comparison purposes, especially when you could do it. Or maybe you have a quiz and you thought, oh, you know what? I don't like those questions. I'm going to do it a different way. You can just go in and create a whole nother quiz. So that's why you get the opportunity to do a title here, right? It's not just this quiz is on this video. It's you can put multiple quizzes on the same video. You just have to select which quiz you want to use when you're asking students those questions. All right. So here we are in the title, again, with the description, couple options: hide question markers on timeline for students. What happens is when you put a question, you said, like we said before, I want a question at 2:16 in the video. On 2:16 in the video, there's a blue dot on side of the timeline. So the students know that there's going to be a question there. You can hide those markers so students don't know when a question is coming up. And then you can allow displaying annotations on the timeline for students, meaning that they can actually type on that timeline and can put some input there. So you can kind of mess around with those a little bit. Let me do get started here. And you'll notice that this is my video. It's kind of like, well, what am I looking at here, right? You're looking at intro quiz 1. This is the video. Here's your done button in the top right. And to get started, the only thing we're doing is we're going to where we want. So let's say I want a question at 44 seconds and I'm hitting the plus. What kind of question do you want to ask at 44 seconds? Do you want to ask a multiple choice question, a true false question, or a multiple answer question? So let's say multiple choice, right? What is the name of this course? We ask the question, we put in different types. You have a couple options as far as varying answering, shuffling choices, and you can give feedback as well. Great for our content questions, right? This is a common misconception. You might want to think about it as da 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 da, or this was a great answer. Some people might think this, but you should really be thinking about it as da 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 da, right? So that same kind of feedback you would be giving inside of a live lecture or inside of a synchronous session. When you're asking oral questions to students, you can give that same kind of feedback here, kind of in a less formal setting, right? You're just giving them, okay, here's the video, here's the question, you put your answer in, you did a great job, here's the correct answer, or that was the incorrect answer. Let's try thinking about it this way. Let's try looking about it this way. And you as the instructor know, and you'll hear me say this all the time, you as the instructor know what your students struggle on. You know those concepts and that content that is tough each semester or each occurrence or each topic, whatever that might be. So that's just a great place to present that concept and that content here again, right? You're going to talk about it in class. You're going to give them stuff to look at. You're going to have it on tests. You're going to have it on quizzes, all of those things. Give it to them again here. We know that the human brain, the more we see it, the more places we see it, the more it's repeated, the more likely we are to be able to retain it, and not only retain it, but get it into long-term memory. That's where we need it. The short-term memory does us no good, right? We know it, we're studying, we're cramming, and as soon as the test is over, it's like, gone, right? That does us no good, especially here in this profession. We need our students to be taking that knowledge and moving it to long-term memory. So repetition is a massive part of that. So here again, how can we put that content again in front of them? Embedding it in a quiz in this type of media is just another way to do that. All right. I'm going to cancel here so I don't kind of mess up this video on myself. And I can do done and discard. Again, I'm still here in this editing platform. You can see I can get back to kind of my settings as far as doing all this. I'm going to delete here to stop. Right. And that is putting a quiz on top of your video. Now, again, we're creating the quiz here from this top layer in Studio. So that's important to remember. Okay. I want to pause there, take a look at chat, make sure I didn't miss anything. Does anybody have any questions before I move into the course level of Studio?
No, I'm good.
Fabulous. Thank you, Meg. All right, let's move into the course level. All right, it looks a little bit different. So instead of our Studio here in the left blue menu, which is kind of the top level, we're going to go to the course itself. All right. Now you can see that here I am right here on the front page. I have a video. This is my introduction video, that video you and I were just looking at the top level. Here I put it actually inside of a class. Now, I'm going to say this a bunch of times because it's probably the most important thing to remember when you think about Studio and the levels and kind of getting this content to students, right? You'll notice that when you click on Studio here on the left-hand side inside of the course, look here, all my course settings. So really I see Studio twice now. right? I can see studio in my blue menu, and I can see studio at the course level. At the course level, I only see the video that I put inside of this class, as opposed to at the top level, I see every video I've ever worked with in Canvas, right? So definitely a different view. So let me go back to the course level and look at only the video that I put inside of the class. You still have your record and add buttons here in the top. So you can come in, you can start here. You can say, I want to record a video. I'm going to put it right here. I want to add a YouTube video. I'm going to add it right here. That's great. No problem. You can start there. You still have one more step. And this is the place where we kind of have hiccups when it comes to presenting content. We say, oh, I made a studio video. I put it in studio, but my students can't get it. They can't see it. How comes they can't see it? How comes my students can't see my video? Your students can only see the video in this studio space when it's put somewhere in the course. Okay. So for me, I put my video on the home page of the course because it was the intro video. Now, when the students click on studio, they will see this ability to click and view it right here as well. If I did not put this intro video on the front page, if I didn't put it there, there was nothing there. When they clicked on studio, they would see nothing. Okay. The way it becomes visible in this studio space is it needs to be put somewhere in the class. So whether you put it on the front page, you put it in an assignment, you put it in a module, you put it in a discussion board, wherever it is, any of those places work. You put it in an announcement. It can be put in any of those places, but you have to put it somewhere for the students to see it. You can't just put it inside of this studio kind of space in the course. You can see it. You'll see it on your side. It's visible here as the instructor, but it will not be visible to students until you actually put it in the class. So like we said, you can put it here on the front page. You could put it here right inside of the modules. You could put it here inside of a specific assignment on a page, whatever that might be, whatever is best for you. Let's look at how we do some of those. First of all, here on the front page, because it's always good to have an intro video. Your same editing box is everywhere on Canvas. Okay, this is the same box we always get. I can bold, underline, italic, change the font, put in an equation, put in a link, all of those things. Here you can click on your three dots. There's your studio icon. I like to call it an octopus or a TV with octopus arms. It's kind of what it looks like, right? I think it's really a TV with kind of separate stations coming out of it, but it's hard to make out that symbol. So it kind of looks like a TV with octopus arms, but it's blue. So it looks exactly like your studio symbol on the left-hand side. Okay, when you click on that inside of this bar, it gives you another window, which lets you pick whatever video you want. Okay, what video do I want to put in? Do I want to put in my intro video? Do I want to put it in one of these other ones I was working with? Obviously, here inside of this class, I put my intro video. So all I do is I click select and it drops that video right there. Now, as opposed to changing my homepage, let me show you where else we can put it. This one's a popular one as well, right here inside of modules. Okay, a couple different ways you can put it in modules. You can click on the plus sign and it defaults to assignment. Change that to external tool. And then here is Canvas Studio. And then same thing, you'll see all of your videos pop up. I'll say, okay, I want my fall 21 intro. Yep, I want to display the media tabs and I'll embed it. And I'll add item. Now here is what I just embedded, my Canvas Studio. When I click on it, there's my intro video. I can always come to the details and rename, click on the insights. We're going to get there in a second. Click on the captions. We're going to get there in a second. So let me go back to modules. The one thing I don't like about this is I wish it grabbed the title of the video. Notice that when you embed that way, it only says Canvas Studio. So for the students, like, what is that? What does that mean? Right? So what you probably want to do here is click on your three dots, click edit, and rename this to what they're actually watching. Introduction video, or video on this disease, or video on this topic, whatever that might be, so that's a little bit more clear for them. Notice that when you go in here and you click on this, you can't edit anything on here, right? I don't have the ability to type. I can't put kind of what we talked about earlier as far as like thinking about questions, jogging prior knowledge, wrap up questions. I can't put any of that on here, right? There's no room for me to type. What I can do is I could put a comment, but then I'm relying on the students to view that comment. So maybe I want the ability to add something else to this page outside of just having a video. This is my preference when it comes to embedding studio videos. It's a little bit more of a task because you have to take an extra step, but it gives you the ability to put anything else you want on the page because it gives us that editing box like we saw. So again, I'm going to click on my plus. It defaults to assignment. Excuse me. And instead of choosing external tool, I'm going to choose page. Page gives me a blank slate to do whatever I want, right? So I'm going to say create page, and I'm still going to call this introduction video. Okay, same exact title, because I want to show you the difference, right? First of all, you can see the difference in the icons. The first one is just a link to our studio video. Here you get a page that is your introduction video. Now, when I click on here, I do get the edit button. And I can come in, and the same way we looked at on the front page, I can type my brainstorming questions here, right? And then down here, I'm going to put my wrap-up questions. And then maybe I have another article for them to look at when they get done with that video. Okay, so that article is just coming from a recent news article on brain science. Maybe not necessarily from the Jerusalem Post, but that's just where we're going right now. So I'm going to put that article here for them so that they can link to it. And here is my video that I want them to watch. So I'm going to drop the video here in the middle of the page. And I'm going to embed. Again, I'm just clicking on embed. And all right. Let's try that again. It's technology. Sometimes it doesn't work. Bum, bum, bum. Okay. We will come back to that. We'll hit save. Best thing to do in Canvas when something's not working is to leave it and go back in. So we'll just go back into that page and we'll try and click our studio button again. And hopefully we load. And maybe it was the fact that that one was pretty long. Here, this one's shorter. There we go. So here I can type my brainstorming questions. Excuse me, here I can type my wrap-up questions. I can save. And now as a student, when I come to this page, I see my brainstorming questions to think about. I see the video I have to watch. I see my wrap-up questions, and I see that I have an article I'm supposed to look at after that video that I'm watching, right? So it gives us a little bit more ability to make the page a learning environment. Like we talked about in the beginning, not just handing them the media and saying, here, watch this, right? It's like, well, paint the picture for me. What should I be thinking about? What should I be looking at? What's an important part of this? What's something else that goes along with this video, right? Here's an article. So you're putting all of these things that go into an authentic learning experience for the students right here on the page, as opposed to here's a video to watch, right? We can, as Emerald would say, bam, right? Spice it up a little bit. It's probably been a while since you heard that bam, right? But let's spice it up a little bit. What else can we put in front of the students to make them get that memory and get that knowledge over to the long-term memory? Get them to transfer it. The chances of them looking back and thinking, okay, what was on that page? Oh, they asked me about that question. And then I had to think about those other two questions. Oh, and then that article that talked about that new study. Oh, and then all of a sudden it all starts coming back to them because they have all of these different things that went on, not just watching a video and listening, right? You're giving them these different connections, these different bridges to build when it comes to content. And we know that's what our students need to be able to recall some of these things. So paint that picture for them, okay? So again, we looked at that. How do we give it to students? Here, we talked about putting it on the front page. We talked about putting it inside of modules. And thankfully, that same way we just went over about putting it on a page, that's the same way you put it in an assignment and the same way you put it in an announcement. When you click on these places, you get that same box when we click edit. So if I want to put it here inside of this assignment, again, I'm just clicking on Studio, clicking on the video I want, and it's going to drop it right there inside the assignment. And maybe that is the assignment. Maybe the assignment is to watch the video and respond to 4 questions and submit your answer to those questions. So then give the students the video right there on the front page. And then inside of there, you give them the ability to upload their assignment, a Word document that has the answer to those 4 questions, right? So all of that is in one place. And then you're not getting the emails of, where's the video? I can't upload. How comes I can't find this? When is this due? You know, all those things that kind of go along with teaching, right? So the best we can do is kind of foresee some of those things, foresee some of those inquiries that might come from our students, and kind of put those things in front of them that way. Okay, let me jump back to the video itself. I want to show you the awesome things that come along with it. All right. We talked about here the video on the front page. Okay. Again, this was the same video that we put here inside of our, not assignments, but I'm going to delete this one. Otherwise, it's going to drive me crazy. That we put here inside of our modules. Now, this is where we get a little bit further into what kind of features do I get with Canvas Studio, right? We talked about, okay, you can just grab a video from YouTube, give them the YouTube link and let them watch it there. But if we bring that video over from YouTube and put it inside of Studio, we get more features, okay? There is a caveat though. 2 things. Number one, you cannot add captions to a YouTube video because you technically don't own the video. So if you're looking to add captions, it has to be something that is authentically yours, right? We can't add captions to a YouTube video because it's coming from an outside source. So that's something important to think about when we come here to captions. But let's take a look. Details, pretty self-explanatory. When I click, I can edit my details, which is just me adding your title and your description. And of course, tags. If a hashtag's your thing, then hashtag away. So again, you could do hashtag N302, hashtag informatics, hashtag MedSurge, whatever that might be. That makes it a little bit easier for you to search and find these things inside of that platform if you're using that. Okay. We also have the comments section. Pretty self-explanatory. Again, if you're pulling a video from YouTube, might already have 1,000 comments on there, not pertinent to our students. So here you get another place to kind of add those comments. Not only can you click, but similar to our quizzing, it puts the comment at a certain space. So maybe it's just remember how this links back to or please recall this from right? So just kind of those think about things, those aha things that we want to give our students as instructors, you can just put here as comments, and I can say, I want that comment to occur here at 3:01. So I add it. And then that way, that comment will pop up for students at 3:01. They don't even have to click on the comment section to see it. It will say 3:01 comment, and it will give your name and what you said at that time. So again, it's just another way to kind of bring the media full circle, not just putting the video in front of them, but how do we spice it up a little bit, give them the opportunity to be able to kind of make those mental connections. Another great, absolutely awesome feature that we talked about a little bit already is your insight to your video. This is telling you who watched it and for how long. So you can see science tells us that our videos need to be a short, kind of condensed time. We know that in nursing, we're going to have some of those longer concepts, some of those longer lectures. I encourage you to group those things the same way you would group them in a class, right? If you talked for 25 minutes, you then gave the students a chance to turn to each other and work on something or talk to each other about certain set of questions or whatever that might be. That should be the same way your videos are constructed. Okay, please do your best to not go over 20 minutes in a video. Even 20 minutes is too long, but we know that some of our content is going to be longer. But you have to chunk some of this stuff. Otherwise, we're turning our students into zombies as they're watching our 60-minute videos, right? So we have to be able to chunk it. So take some of that stuff, break it up. If you have some longer content, that's no problem. I can break it up for you. I have that software. I can chunk that stuff out for you if you wanted to do it that way. We can do that. But you can see here that your viewership goes down. As my video gets to the 6-minute mark, my viewership goes down on this bar graph. I want to see what specific students did. What did Haley do? Haley watched the whole video. Thank you, Haley. What did Sarah do? Sarah watched the whole video. Thank you, Sarah. Let's see if we can find someone who did not watch the whole video. There we go. Anna Lee did not watch any of the video. She clicked on it because her name's there, but she did not watch any of the video. Same thing with Garrett, did not watch any of the video. Emily did not watch any of the video, right? So these are important things to know when you get some of those questions, especially for me, because this is an introduction video of, oh, well, I didn't know we were supposed to do that. Or, oh, well, I didn't hear that anywhere. Well, you didn't watch the introduction video, right? So this is just kind of those ways that we can have checks and balances as the instructor of, man, I thought I said that in the video. Yes, I did say that in the video. Okay, well, let me go back. This person is emailing me about this. I said it here. Did they watch the video? And now you can say to that student, no problem. I will certainly answer your questions. You obviously don't want to be, too stern with them, but this information is in the video. I would encourage you to go watch it. And then, believe me, all of our students talk. They will know that that was your response to that individual student, and students will make sure that they are watching that content and looking for those things before they're reaching out to you for some of those questions, right? So good idea there. Our last piece here that we talked about a little bit here is captions, right? Captions is a way to add your subtitles. You can do two things. Number one, you can request captions. So Studio will caption the video for you. Now, as nurses, that there is some content and some vocabulary words that the system is not going to get, right? So you just have to go in and edit some of those things. You can also upload the captions. So if your video was already created inside of Zoom or is created somewhere else where captions were already done, you can take that text file and upload it here. And then that way students have captions on their video, right? But this is our way to meet our accommodations for a lot of students and make sure that we are meeting our accessibility standards across the board outside of what our particular students need for accommodation. So there's no harm in just going in and hitting request, right? And just getting those captions on that video just to have them on there. So there's nothing wrong with that. that is a service that's already built inside of Studio. Okay, so that's a little bit of your options as you dive further into the video itself. Again, and this is going to be particular to the course. You're not going to get this stuff at the top studio level because think about it, your insights are the people that are inside of that class where the video is. So the only place to get those insights, those comments, and those captions is actually going to the course level of Studio so that I can work inside of that space. All right. I want to pause there and take a look at my chat. So I got about 5 minutes to look at groups because that was a good 50 minutes on Studio there. I have nothing in the chat. Yes, this is good. Thank you so much for your encouraging words. I appreciate that. All right, fabulous. Let me jump out of Studio. Let me again remind you, very widely used tool. There are multiple videos already on our YouTube channel going over this content as well as this one. And then of course, anything else that might exist on regular YouTube or Canvas resources, all cover Studio, how to embed quizzes, how to look at insights, how to share the video with other professionals, all of those things that we talked about today that you might just need a, wait, how did we do that? Or wow, he said that really fast because I do say it really fast. All of that stuff is out there. And again, I am here for you. So if I went really fast for you today, or you're like, well, I really like this, but I want to spend some more time on putting a quiz on my video, or I want to spend more time in setting this up in modules on Pages. And he went over that really fast. Why did he go so fast? Sorry, I apologize, but please reach out to me and I will be happy to meet with you again, one-on-one or in a group with you and your colleagues, whatever you prefer, to look at that specific part of Studio so that I can give you a better understanding and you can feel successful with that tool because it is an awesome tool. The other thing I wanted to show you today outside of Studio is kind of the collaborative space that we're given inside of Canvas, which is your groups setting, right? Because here we are, we know that, we'll tell students to go work in a group and, hopefully they're getting together in a library somewhere, or maybe they're meeting over Zoom in their own account, or, when we were face to face, that was a whole lot easier to just put people at tables and tell them they were working each other in a group and they could work cooperatively in that space. We gotta, we know our students a lot of times, and even ourselves, we gotta give them a little bit of a nudge. Hey, I made this folder for you, check it out. Or, hey, I made this discussion board for your group, go post something. I put it there for you. Sometimes we gotta give them that nudge. So here we can do that inside of these spaces. And that is a function inside of your people space. If we go inside of people, you get your everyone tab and you get your groups tab. I think that your groups are pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to just go off of my regular kind of forward thinking assignment here in my EHR system. And then we can allow self sign up, split them into, or I'll create my own. So you kind of have a forethought of what are you going to do with these students. Self signups always good, right? Let them pick where they want to go. Creating's always good. I have these 3 students that always participate. I'm not going to put those 3 students in the same group because I'm probably going to need their help in kind of moving these groups along with some of the others. So I'll create them myself, so whatever that might be. So I'll say create my own. And we'll see here that inside of my EHR systems that I just made, here's my opportunity to make a group. I'll call it group 1. And I'm going to limit all of my groups to 5 people and save. And again, making my way down. Now, they don't necessarily have to be group 1, group 2, group 3. They could be cheetah, lion, zebra, whatever that might be. You can name them whatever you want. Name them after a favorite food. Name them after a nursing concept, whatever, but you have to name them, right? So that they come out. Now, what happens here? When you create this group, and this is always where the disconnect is, right? Because here I am on the instructor level and it's like, okay, I created groups. Well, what does this do for the students? What do they get? And you're not students, so you can't see what they see. So a good place to go is back to our Canvas resources. And this is the student view of groups. So when they click on groups in theirs, they get a linear list of the groups that they're in, or the ones, like we said, that they can enroll in, right? So if you're allowing them to self-enroll, they'll see a join icon. If you're allowing them to come in and out, they'll see this kind of live or leave icon, not live icon. So you kind of have different things there. And obviously, if you create more than one group, or you have different things that you have them in, they will have more than one of these blocks. But outside of the groups, I think the important part is, what do they get in the groups? And that's this stuff right here, right? So inside of their group, when you put them inside of those groups, you have those 5 students, they get the ability to see those groups. They get the ability to leave or join it. They can share files back and forth. They get their own discussion board back and forth. They get their own place to be able to send messages. And they also get a place to collaborate and submit their assignments, right? So if they're working on a PowerPoint by themselves here or with their group, they have the ability to share that file with each other inside of this space. Now, and well, can't they do that in OneDrive? Yes, they can do that in OneDrive. Well, can't they email each other? Yes, they can email each other, but you're not going to necessarily be able to see all of that as the instructor, right? So you as the instructor want to know, okay, is group 1 doing anything? Have they moved forward in this at all? You go, you look at their discussion board. You go, you look at their PowerPoint, right? If you're just saying group 1, get it done, it's due on this date, you're just hoping that they're working throughout that time and it's going to be turned in correctly, right? But if they have trouble, or you want to provide insight, or maybe you know that in prior times this assignment has run, that students usually get this part wrong, or students usually need more help on this individual part. You get that ability by putting these students inside of groups inside of Canvas, because now you're in that group too, right? So you're creating that collaborative setting, not only for the students, but you're creating the collaborative setting for you and the students to be able to work on a specific assignment or a specific discussion, or just talk about a topic, whatever that might be. So outside of Studio, where we get a lot of collaboration, you can have it in comments, you can have the back and forth as far as your discussion board questions go. We also get that ability to kind of create these cooperative groups inside of our people section, where we can literally name the groups, allow students to self-enroll, pull themselves out, put themselves in, and then we get all the collaboration features, discussion board, sharing files, places to submit, all within a collaborative setting. So I think a really good feature, especially for those places where we're like, well, how can I get my students to interact more? What can I do to get my students to talk to each other? What can I do to get them to bring out some of these ideas? And we know that, yes, as nurses, sometimes you feel like dentists, because you feel like you're pulling teeth to just get them to talk, or just get them to interact, or just get them to speak. So some of those things, right? Again, here we have a tool that allow them to do some of those things inside of our group function, and especially inside of some of those collaborative spaces when it comes to Canvas Studio and sharing some of our media. I'm at about 3 minutes left here today, so I'm going to pause and give you open floor. Any questions, comments, anything you want to look at a little bit closer, anything you feel like I went a little bit too fast on, you need a little bit of clarification on, I am all ears.
Andrew, can you show me how you got into that last screen where you could do like the student view?
For sure. My student view is just on me searching student view of groups. Unfortunately, there is a student view in Canvas,
Yeah.
right? When I come here, I can do student view and see this as a student homepage kind of setting. But the one downfall of that is your student view, this kind of makeshift one, is not enrolled in any groups. right? The only people enrolled in groups are those specific people in the class. So your student view doesn't even let you see what a student group view looks like. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's the same way what's the other thing? Oh, when you go in and I worked on this with Kim Noble because she has journals that like you have your individual student journal and they can go in and the discussion board is only assigned to them. So the students can only see that discussion board. But her as the instructor can't say, well, what's Monica's discussion board look like to her? Because she can't imitate Monica. She can only imitate kind of this generic student view. So when you have specific students in a group or you have an assignment assigned to a specific student, you can't see it in that kind of student view because there's no way to get to an individual student view. You just get a generic one. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Sorry,
Thanks.
probably a little bit longer of an explanation than we needed there.
No, that was good. Appreciate
All right. Anybody else? All right. I want to thank you for your time today and coming. I will have this recording out next week after our other session. We have a repeat of this happening next Wednesday, same Zoom, same time. You're welcome to join that one. Conversation will probably be pretty similar, just maybe different questions from different individuals as we're making our way through, but we'll go from there. If you guys need anything outside of what we talked about today, or again, if you want to look at anything closer, please just reach out and we can be awesome from that point on.
Thank you.
All right, thanks,
guys.
Andrew.
No problem. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you so much.